Good evening and welcome to PD in Pajamas. This is our second session for the 2016-17 school year, and this is Lynn Erickson. And thanks for joining me this evening. Tonight we're going to talk about some of the new features of Google Classroom and going to review some of the features that already exist that you might not be aware of. So what you're looking at right now is my Google Classroom, and in order to get to it, you first have to make sure that you are logged in to your school Google account, and then you can go to classroom.google.com. This is where you will add classes. If you don't have any existing classes, this is where you will add them. Once you have classes added, this is the first page you'll see when you log in, and this will show you all of your classes. Now, if you ever wanted to go into Google Drive for the folder that is made when you make a class, you can just double click. That will open that folder within your Google Drive for that particular class. So if there's content or things you want to put in there, that is how you get to it. In the top left-hand corner is the Classroom main menu. Below the Classes tab is a calendar. When I click on that, that will take me to my Google Classroom calendar. And this will show me, and this is the same thing for students, it will show me the assignment due dates that I have posted for any assignments or activities for my students. So you can see that something was due on the 10th of last week, and I have nothing due for students this week. And you will only see these types of things in the calendar if you actually give your assignment a due date. So you must make sure you do that in order to see it. Okay, so within the calendar, you also want to note that the students are going to view the same thing. So they have the same kind of tabs like you do. They also have this work tab as well. So when I click on work, if I were a student, the student's going to see any work that is due, upcoming work that is due that was assigned to them. As a teacher, you're going to see any work that you've assigned to students, and then you can go into any of those assignments and review and see what needs to be corrected. And then this is the tab of all reviewed work that you've already reviewed. Okay, so let's go to a Google Classroom page, and this is my 6th grade group. I'm going to go into the About section. A few things here. A lot of people forget that you can put quite a bit of information in the About section. So this is a classroom already set up. I've already invited students. They already exist in my class. The somewhat of a new feature is the fact that you can invite a teacher. So you can have a co-teacher to your classroom. So if there's special ed teachers that work in your classroom and you want them to be aware of the content that you're pushing out to students and any due dates and things that are coming up, you can just click on invite, and you can invite other teachers from your groups. It has to be within your school domain. So within Stafford, our teachers would have to be within the Stafford domain. You couldn't invite a teacher from another district. Also in here, you want to make note that you can add class materials, and this is a nice feature. So if you have things like common rubrics that you use for a lot of assignments, this is a place to add them. Maybe you have a course syllabus that you want to add, maybe class expectations or homework expectations. You can add files by either uploading them from your computer. You can attach them from Google Drive. You can also attach a YouTube video, and then any links. So maybe there's some websites that students can go to for help and things like that. That's where you can add these resources in. So students, when they log into Google Classroom, they're going to have an About section, and that will, anything that you've posted to supplement your class materials, this is where they would find them. Now, also within here, you notice that you have the calendar. If I view it in Classroom, it's going to take me to the same screen that we were at before, but this is just for this particular class. I can then go to my other classes. Now for students, it's going to be the same view if they're in just their one class, it's going to show just assignments for that particular class. If they have classes with other teachers, they would have to click on this drop-down arrow to see the other classes that they're part of. So that's calendar view within Google Classroom, but they also, for teachers and for students, you have a calendar view within Google Calendar. So if I open this in Google Calendar, this is going to pull up my work calendar, and then what I'll see, let me go to something that I already assigned to students. Here's an assignment from a Google Calendar that was put into a Google Calendar from a Google Classroom page. So you can turn those calendars on or shut them off just by clicking on the color next to it. So that is how you can access. Now students have the same thing. They can open up their assignments in Google Calendar and see it right in there, so they have like more of a view of a calendar view of upcoming dates and things like that. So that's nice and streamlined for them. Okay, so we are going to go over to a very new feature, and this is in the students section. So the new feature is you can invite guardians to be part of your communication with what you're doing in class with parents. So if you were to invite a guardian, you can just click on invite guardian, and then you would put in the email address of the person, of the parent that you would want to invite, and then click on invite. They can't actually get into your Google Classroom. What they would get would be a weekly email, and this is kind of what it looks like here. So they would have a summary by week that would be what their child, if their child is missing any work, if they have upcoming work for the next week or things that might be due today or tomorrow. They also have an email summary that would include class activity, and they would receive regular automatic email summaries for each of their students, and then they can choose how frequent they want their emails. So it could be every day, or they can choose just the weekly, and then they can also unsubscribe at any time. So here's what a sample Guardian email looks like for a particular student. It would show any work that was missing that that student did not turn in, what's due for the following week, and then a class activity from last week. So it kind of gives a nice summary of things that you're doing in your classroom, so parents have more of an idea. Okay, so that is a brand new feature. Now we have another feature that is also very new, and that is the ability to assign content to groups of students instead of just the entire class. So when I go to create an assignment or a question, so assignment was clicking on the plus sign and go to create assignment, or you could go to create question, either one of those. I can assign, let's say we'll start with question, a particular question. I can do maybe 4 different questions to 4 different groups of my students. So I can come up with a question that I want students to answer and see where it says all students. I can then uncheck this, and I can just check off which students are going to answer that particular question. Now I can also assign this for my other classes as well. So if I teach more than one topic, or more than one class for that particular topic, then I can assign that to my other classes too. So just know that you have this new feature, and I'll show you kind of how I set this up. So I have a class that's working in groups. So what I did was I have 2 files that I shared with each group. So I made a project pitch group 1, group 2, and group 3 file from a Google Doc. And then I made a group 1 and group 2, group 3 discussion log from a Google Doc. And then what I did was I shared that out, or assigned it to the 4 students or 3 students of that group. So when I did the assignment, and I shared my Google Drive file. Let me just pull one in so you can see what I'm talking about. Where it says students can view file, I changed it to students can edit file. So all the students in that group are going to be editing that same file at the same time if they wanted to. So everyone in group 1 can edit this product pitch group 1 file. And they can also edit this group 1 discussion log file. So for each week, they can go in here and add elements to it, and that group can see what everyone's been working on. So this is a great new feature that I would highly recommend that you get, starting to get used to. It's just assigning things to smaller groups. Love the fact that we now have a group feature. So that is it for this evening. I just wanted to show you some of the new features here in Google Classroom. So hope you're enjoying, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email. And thanks again for joining. This is Lynn Erickson, and have a wonderful night.